Alan Wake for us is a game that stood out from the crowd back in 2010, and it's one of the best video games to release to this date over the last decade. With Alan Wake having its 10-year anniversary, we decided to take a stroll down memory lane and play this nostalgic title. Hey guys, I'm Obi.
And I'm Sobi. And in today's video, we're going to try to answer the question, does Alan Wake stack up 10 years later?
I rode in a gang.
2010 was to say a big year for gaming, with releases like Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty Black Ops, and Fable 3. And while we won't deny the impact those games have had on the industry, what Alan Wake did was something just purely different and rarely seen in the video game genre. Alan Wake slowed things down a bit, making you really focus on the world and its story. What Remedy did with the story of Alan Wake, with its plot twists and cliffhangers, is something seldom seen in video games aside from a few titles like Life is Strange or Telltale's The Walking Dead. While the plot really drives Alan Wake home, it still has some intense action sequences that shake things up a bit.
Let's dive in and take a look at what Alan Wake did so right. Let's start off with its story.
Can you believe this place? This would make a wonderful setting for a book.
Alan Wake is a psychological thriller about a writer who just needed to get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. The title starts us out as Alan and his wife enter Bright Falls, a small town situated on the outskirts of a national park in the Pacific Northwest. After reaching Bright Falls and settling into a cabin that sits on the small island in the caldera of a dormant volcano, Alan and his wife get into an argument. Alan, upset and frustrated, leaves the cabin to clear his head and take in some fresh air.
Alice? Alice?
But just moments after he leaves said cabin, he hears his wife scream out his name. After rushing back, he discovers that his wife has fell into the lake and immediately jumps in after her.
Alice? Oh no!
Upon doing so, Alan then blacks out and wakes up in his car that is now wrecked with no memory of how he got there. Now dazed and confused, he steps out into the darkness, and while trying to find his way back into town, he stumbles across a manuscript page from the book titled Departure. Departure was the title that he planned to use in his next novel, and Alan was quoted as the author. With that being said, he had no recollection of writing the story. As the story plays out, words from the page would unfold and come into Alan's reality. Now it's up to Alan to figure out just what happened that night, regain his memories, and find his now missing wife. Just minutes into the game, it sums up the roller coaster of a ride you're about to embark on. What the narrative portion of this game does is give you a confusing and emotional journey not only into the writings of Alan, but also brings out his psyche into the darkness. The darkness will be the driving antagonist in this epic thriller, and will use any person or thing to keep Alan from the truth, and will try to manipulate him for its own means.
Which moves us to gameplay.
My head bounded with a concussion. I'd never fired a gun outside a shooting range.
During the night, when the world is shrouded in shadow and the darkness hunts Alan, it will possess animals, humans, and even inanimate objects to take him out of the equation. Alan must use the opposite of darkness if he is to survive in this unforgiving nightmare. Wielding his trusty flashlight, he can focus a beam of light and break away the shroud of shadows that act like a shield. Once broken, he can use normal weapons to take down his foes. Upon defeating the Taken, as he refers to them, they will ignite in a brilliant display of bright sparks. We were very surprised as we replayed the game to see how well the combat still holds up. The overall combat is very grounded, forcing you to keep moving while managing not only your ammo, but also the battery life for your flashlight. Occasionally, when you're completely outnumbered, and this will happen, you will have to use a flare that will take down everything in your immediate vicinity. The light acts not only as a buffer to keep the Taken at bay, but will also be your saving grace. If you enter a permanent light source, the Taken cannot reach you, and the light will act as a healing source for Alan.
Alice had told me about Cauldron Lake Lodge. The old building used to be a hotel, but these days it was no longer open to the public.
During more of the exploratory portions, Alan will narrate what he sees or what he is thinking, and this is an amazing way to keep you immersed, not only visually, but also mentally. Daytime, on the other hand, will be where you get most of the overall plot. During the safety of the sun, the gameplay slows down a bit, which allows you to get to know the residents of Bright Falls, and lets you explore the world at a slower pace. This is a great way to break up the intense action sequences of the night portions. It gives you the chance to breathe and also provides some great world story storytelling. It also lets you take in the beauty that is Bright Falls. It's during these sequences where you will get to know the memorable inhabitants of Bright Falls and how they all fall in line with the story. Everyone you meet will play some role, whether it be small or very crucial to the overall plot.
Let's talk about sound.
I just need hunting licenses.
Remedy did an amazing job when creating the sound for Alan Wake. Not only does it have some amazing voice actors, but the musical score is something we rarely see in this style of horror-based game. While you might expect the heavy, dark undertones with its deep piano and intense string instruments that come with the horror genre, and believe us when we say it's present, you might not expect some of the sad yet uplifting scores that drives its way into your very soul. This allows the game to separate itself from most of the horror genre, mixing the musical side of things with sounds like the breaking of limbs or crunching leaves that forces the hair on your neck to stand on end while the take and stalk Alan throughout the night, and you will find yourself sucked into an interesting world. Every noise you hear in this title, whether it's the firing of Alan's pistol or the hooting of an owl, feels meticulously handpicked, and this dedication to perfection shows. Overall, Alan Wake is an amazing title, and it's needless to say that it's one of our favorite titles from 2010. While the game does have a few problems, like its driving sequences, the overall experience is one that we would love to share with the world. The game pulls inspiration from literary and theatrical elements, whether it be Stephen King or Alfred Hitchcock, and these moments really help this title stand out from the crowd. As you play the game, you will find more pages of his unwritten book, Departure, and these pages will not only act as foreshadowing explaining what is to come, but will also be a guide for certain situations. The spoken and written narrative is something we rarely see in current day video games, and when it is found, it's rarely interesting. While some of these moments might be a little slow, such as waiting around listening to the local radio broadcasts, it's well worth the wait, and we really get a feel for the world Alan's living in. For those that have yet to play Alan Wake, we suggest that you take your time as the story unfolds and not try to rush it. The story itself will keep you guessing as to what's happening, and once you think you know what's going on, the game will push you in a different direction. It even has an unlikely hero, and you won't see this character coming. The title does end on a major cliffhanger, and we are disappointed to say that we have yet to see a proper follow-up. And while some of the action sequences may get a little repetitive, the combat stays fluid, and the game will throw more enemies at you to keep you from getting too comfortable. Of course, some of the 10-year-old visuals might look a little muddy, but don't let this keep you from trying this amazing title. Think of it like discovering a classic movie for the first time and really being wowed as to how they were able to pull this off way back then.
While many games have amazing stories and even better gameplay, none, in our opinion, have been able to live up to the bar that Alan Wake has set. When it comes to the narrative with its psychological aspects that keep you guessing while sitting on the edge of your seat, Alan Wake has never met its match. We are still waiting for another title to step out of the darkness and into the light and bring back what we love so much. And while we're not sure yet, we think we may have just found that very game. Still unreleased, Twin Mirror looks to be a title that might just give Alan Wake a run for its money, and we really hope it does. But to wrap things up and answer our original question, does Alan Wake still stack up after 10 years? The answer for us is quite obvious. Well, guys and gals, that's all we have for this video. Now we want to know, have you played Alan Wake? If so, what did you think of this title? If not, are you thinking about picking this title up? Let us know down in the comments. Also, you can play Alan Wake for free if you have Xbox Game Pass.
Hey guys, before we let you go, we wanted to let you know that you can join us on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord by clicking the link down in the description. Until next time, this is Obi,
This is Sobi.
signing out.
See you guys next time.